Hi, welcome back. This is our 9th podcast in the series of Burnout and Compassion Fatigue. And today, with the side of the desk, we have Detective Anne Earle-Dempsey from the Belleville Police Services. And she is going to tell us a little bit about what her role is and how long she's been doing it.
Hi. Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Thanks. Nice to be here. A little strange, but
Yeah, it's weird, but we kind of just roll with it.
Fair enough. I can do that. So my current role at the police station, and it has been for the past 12, 13 years, is I'm a detective in the Criminal Investigations Division. My primary role is I'm the Intimate Partner Violence Coordinator. We'll break this down a bit. Sex Offender Registry and High Risk Offender Manager.
Oh, just a little light stuff, eh?
Yeah, a little light stuff. So I deal with victims of domestic violence. I rely heavily on our victim services worker that's in the station to do that. I make sure that the officers have their reports and the referrals done to different agencies. Make sure that the courts, VWAP, have their stuff that they need. If the Crown needs anything extra, or if there's something I have to follow up with or do some additional meeting with the victim, I do that. On Wednesdays, I deal with convicted sex offenders that are on the Ontario and the National Sex Offender Registries. So that is anyone that is convicted of a criteria offense in the province of Ontario is on the National and the Ontario Sex Offender Registry, and there's regulations for them that they have to follow. So on Wednesdays, I clear my schedule and I just deal with sex offenders. So whether that's new from a release from a detention facility, whether they've moved here from a different area, or whether it's an annual check-in or it's an address change, that's my Wednesday job. And then I also deal with high-risk offenders or any kind of release from any kind of provincial or federal custodial agencies or facilities.
And you've been doing that 13 years.
Yes.
How?
I'm really not quite sure.
Well, you know what? And so when we think about that, I mean, that's quite heavy work.
It's incredibly heavy.
And you have on one side, especially when you're doing supportive victims on, one side of this equation, and then you're dealing with some of the
Worst of the worst.
Yeah, I guess that is for in terms of offenses, and wow.
Yes.
So the stories would be hard.
Yes.
The heartbreak would be hard.
Yes.
Trauma would be hard.
Yes.
And you've been doing it for 13 years, and you've been doing it well. I hear lots of accolades.
Thank
So,
you.
I mean, let's put that in there. We can do things brokenly for a long time.
Yeah.
But how to do it effectively with a sense of humor and then be able to maintain boundaries, because I know you have a wonderful life outside of the police force.
Yes.
So how do you keep it from bleeding in and from you losing any type of empathy and compassion?
Well, I think that part's too late.
Okay, we said honesty. There we go.
There is my empathy.
Compassion for the victims, though. We do
That's
see
totally
that.
different.
Yeah.
That is totally different. And part of my role, too, with the domestic portion is I also sit on different committees, like the Queen and Coordinating Against Violence and the Queen District Victims Fund. There is some positive stuff that comes out of this position, and that's basically what feeds me to keep going. Okay. So interactions with people like yourselves and other members of the coordinating committee, or I've made some great relationships with people from probation or federal parole or victim services. So it's almost like a networking part, which helps you when you need it. The empathy is a little bit harder, especially when I'm dealing with people that are from federal custody and they've decided they want to come to Belleville upon release. And I had one gentleman from the Hamilton area decide he's going to come to Belleville, and when you Googled him, he was Canada's worst child sex offender, and he was going to come to Belleville. So I had to read everything that he had done, put a package together, drive to the jail, and challenge him on what his plan was. So that's kind of behind the scenes stuff that people don't know that I do, and I've done that probably 3 or 4 times at least in the past 10 years. So I may not be investigating it, because I used to investigate offenses against children and adults and whatever else came into the detective office. But sometimes reading stuff is almost worse.
Because it sticks differently.
Totally does.
And And sometimes there's photographs.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Victim
there's,
impact
yeah,
statements. It's just, yeah. So
Yeah.
you can't erase that. So you need to have mechanisms in place to be able to function.
I get that. Not and not trying to equate that it's the same way, but the connection to bereavement clients and some of the
Yes.
horrific
Yeah.
things they've gone through.
Yeah.
And you sit there and the tears happen because you see somebody so vulnerable and so in pain and so at a loss. And I know victims feel that,
Absolutely.
I started off in domestic violence when I came into the field, but I forget that those layers exist when we try to support a victim, because there is a whole court system that has to happen for validation, or hopefully that the victim has some restitution for the crime committed.
In my experience, the victim will never be satisfied with the outcome in court. The court system is broken. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for police. It's frustrating for the lawyers. It's frustrating for the victims and the survivors.
And frustrating for people waiting to go to court.
Yes. So the system needs to be fixed. And it's very hard sometimes for me to keep the younger officers motivated, saying, it's okay, keep charging. It's okay, it'll get better. It's okay. Yes, he's assaulted her again, and I'm going to say him because 98% of our domestics are male offenders, female victims. Yes, he's assaulted her again. Yes, I know you're concerned for her safety. Yes, they released him from bail. We've got to keep going. We have to keep her safe. So put it back on the court system, put it back on the JP that released him the last time. And hopefully we'll be able to keep her safe, because sometimes we've done everything we possibly can, have every safety thing in place, and sometimes the victim can't move for whatever reason, and that's okay, because that's not realistic to say that, we're going to upheave, you're already a victim of a horrific offense, and we're going to move you away from your supports and your family and whatever to try to keep you safe. But that's not fair to them. Yeah. So the court system needs to be fixed. It's very, very broken, and it's hard to keep the younger officers motivated sometimes to say, it's okay, keep going. It's okay, yeah, keep charging. When they're just like, why? They're just going to get out, why am I doing this? Because we have to keep them safe, whether they like it or not.
Well, yeah, like we could do 6 hours on how broken things are.
I don't have that much time.
No, and so, but that comes back to when you talk about trying to keep others motivated, that energy has to come from somewhere.
Yes.
Right? If we're going to support others in keeping motivated to do the hard work, where is your motivation? Where is your energy? What feeds you in doing this work? Outside of the satisfaction of knowing you're doing the best you can to keep somebody safe. But why keep doing this?
What feeds me is I want to keep them accountable, and I want to throw their asses back in jail.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and that feeds me, because I'm just like, nope. I tell my offenders when I see them on Wednesdays, if they've never met with me, I go over all of their conditions, whether on probation, whether on a 161 probation order in relation to children, so they can't be around public parks, playgrounds, school grounds, anywhere it's reasonable for someone age 16 to be found, or internet, or anything along those lines. I go over everything, and I tell them it's black and white. If you mess up, I will throw your ass back in jail. I'm going to give you every opportunity so you understand all of the rules, so there's no gray area. If you have a question, you ask me. If I can help you, I'll help you. But if you do something and you haven't asked me, there's nothing I can do, and you're going back to jail.
If you ask me for help, I'll help you.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Well, if they're like, well, I can't get a job, do you know anything? Or I'll put them in contact with different resources, because there are businesses in town that will hire people that are on the registry, and there's no children involved, and they can still maintain an employment and not be in contravention of any of their restrictions. If I have contacts at probation or housing or John Howard, if they need, I'll try to help them within reason, but they need to deserve it. And they need to, if they've messed up and they've lied to me, then we're done. Okay. That door is closed.
So strong boundaries.
Very strong boundaries. You have to have very strong boundaries. I see offenders outside, we're not friends. Like, I don't enjoy seeing my offenders when I'm out with my family. More than one time in the past 13 years, I'll be out shopping with my family. And I'm like, I'll see you at the car. And I'm turning in. I don't want my offenders to see me with my family.
Because that kind of bleeds into your personal life.
It does. And
And-
sometimes I know what these offenders have done. And I have a daughter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep my daughter safe. And some of these offenders don't like me because I've put them back in jail, or I've charged them. I'm the reason that they're in the institution. And when they're I don't want them to see me with my family.
So it's safety.
Yeah, and sometimes I see them when I'm out, and I just don't want to. I want to not have to deal with that when I'm on my own time.
Which I talk to a lot of young workers about that, about not having work bleed into personal life. You're kind of unique in how you've set up your boundaries and the reasons for it, but the principle is the same.
It is.
Is as keeping work and personal life balance, because if you don't, well, with what you do, having that kind of energy come into your own personal space is kind of tainting it.
Very much so.
So you've got to keep those strong boundaries. But it's the same thing about running into work if you think there's a problem, or having clients call you, or being there when there's other people dealing with things. You need to let the team step back, and you can't always be running in to rescue them.
No.
Those kind of boundaries have to exist.
You have to have the boundaries, or else you're going to burn out faster than, I mean, I think any kind of demanding employment, there is a level of burnout regardless.
What does yours look like?
Right now, I'm close to retirement, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the shiny light where I go meet Jesus. Okay, there is a light, and I'm very much looking forward to that, because I don't want to see these people ever again. So for me, my burnout is I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to socialize with people. I don't go to functions in Belleville because I don't want to run into my offenders or people that will see me with my family, because I can't relax, because I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
So when my daughter was younger, we didn't go to Waterfront. We didn't go to the fair. When we trick-or-treated, there were certain areas that we would go to, and there's houses that the kids are all running to, and my kid's not going to that house because I know who lives there. So my daughter adapted, and she's like, so can we go to that house? No. What? Okay. So she's adapted. She's an adult now, but that's the environment she grew up in. When she was, friends are having a sleepover. Can I sleep over? No. There's certain select houses that she could go to. Some she wasn't going to. Your friends can come here? Absolutely. But you're not going there. So that was my way to keep my circle tight.
And keep everyone safe.
Keep everybody safe. And it feels like you're juggling balls of fire.
Well, because you have knowledge, and that knowledge comes into the everyday. People wouldn't be thinking like that,
No.
right?
No.
I mean, I don't have it in the same degree, but we have a code, my partner and I. I'll just say it randomly, do you want to play apples to apples? It's a game. It's very innocuous, but it's letting my partner know that there's somebody that's probably really angry with me over eviction situation or something, and maybe we should clear out before they start screaming that I'm a bitch out in the middle of, Dollarama or something, because I get paid a lot, so Dollarama is where I go, but where apparently everybody goes. We go shopping at Walmart at 7 a.m. And
So
those kind of
you
things.
change your routine.
Yes.
So you don't interact.
Absolutely.
And that way you can keep your circle tight.
And that's exactly what it is.
My core group of friends, and I have many friends at the police service, my core group of friends have nothing to do with policing.
Brilliant.
My husband's retired military. We have a very good friend base, and I have friends that are like family, and we have functions, whatever. I love to entertain. I like to be, we live in the country because I don't want to be around people. If anything, this job is kind of like, there is good parts of it, and I've met some very great people, but for the most part, I don't want to see people.
Yeah. So there is a legacy to the work.
Very much so. I mean, it's not realistic to think that you can't. there's some pretty awful things that happen in Belleville and would happen in any city. I don't think Belleville's any worse than anywhere else. And we have a lot of issues. So, like, dead bodies, overdoses, accidents, homicides, infant deaths, sex assaults. Like, you can't unsee it, you can't unread it, and you can't not deal with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I started taking care of my mental health later than I would have liked to, because when I started in 94, you didn't do it. It was the old boys club, and you sucked it up.
Tough.
Yeah, and then, I think about back in the 90s when I was hired, all the old guys, a lot of them had alcohol issues because that's how they dealt with it.
Yeah, because alcohol was accessible.
Yeah.
And normal.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. So they go for a drink afterwards. Do I have a warped sense of humor? Yeah. But that's also how you deal with it sometimes.
Well, yeah, I think anyone in the front line doing dealing with people that are so broken at times, if that humor wasn't there, it's a way of processing. Profanity is mine, right? I'll close the door and it'll be a blue streak, and then I can come out and I can smile and say, "Hi, how are you today?"
I don't close my door. I should. Yeah. I really should. I have a lot of things that help me with a little sense of humor. That help me cope. The new people in my office are used to me just basically losing my shit and dropping an F-bomb and like, "You okay?" Great. Like, just great.
Yeah.
So when I decided that it was best to take care of my mental health, was only in the past 5 years. So I have 25 years of damage. And then in the past 5 years, I'm like, okay, yeah, you need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
And my husband was one of the reasons. So I was isolating myself. My family being in the living room. Hey, coming in? No, I'm going to sit in the sunroom. Just be away from everybody, withdraw. Go home in the afternoon, be home at 3:30, 4 o'clock, open a bottle of wine. Because it just numbed that shit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you have maybe a second glass or a third glass.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think it was during the week, and he comes in from work, and I'm already at the kitchen island having a glass of wine. He's like, "It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, good point.
Yep.
So I need to make some changes.
Yeah.
Before I went down a bad road.
And you had the support to make those changes.
Absolutely.
For someone that's struggling upstream, it's hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard to actually, because not a big surprise, most police officers are type A or double type A personalities.
No.
Oh, yes.
Really?
I know, it's a newsflash.
It's
a newsflash for you. And to admit that you don't have control is a big deal.
Well, control is safety.
Exactly.
We have that in what we do too, and not to the degree, but if I do these check-ins on folks, if they're going out, there's rules, right? And if you're not doing it, I lose my shit. And why is it? Because it's not as dangerous as policing, but there are people that do the work in our agency types, and they come to harm.
Yes, and there's also an incident from your agency
years
ago where that was horrific for you and your staff.
Yeah. And one of the things that still helped me process that today, and it is horrendous that we lost someone in that manner, but I can remember even standing there in the midst of the chaos of that shitty day, thinking, "Thank God my staff are going home." That is because we preach that, be safe. You've got to go home to your families. And that includes the self-care. Like, that was a horrendous day, but we forget that it's not all about the physical shit.
No. And so, same thing with policing. So we are taught when we have our training, like, I've always had the motto, I will be judged by 12 before I am carried by 6.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going home at the end of the day, and everyone I work with is going home.
Yeah.
That's my job. Is to do my job, but I'm going to go home, and so is everyone that I'm working with.
We share that. Mm-hmm. And that is nice to talk about, because I don't know. I talk with other frontline staff, doing domestic violence and shit like that. Their workers are going out. Lee and I have talked many times that you always want people to be safe. And when your staff are out after hours or doing something that's high risk, you're always sitting there with that kind of pit. You just want to hear. And I lose my mind if you don't text me when it's all over. If I have to sit and stew an extra hour because you forgot and you went and got Starbucks, don't. Yeah. But I've never heard it put that succinctly, and it's like, absolutely. So I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Oh, I always learn something so interesting. And Alex and I will talk about this, and we'll go back to that. Yeah, and it's heavy work. And 5 years, and for 25 years, you didn't
do a great job. I thought I had like I said, so in the 90s, you didn't discuss mental health. You kept your stuff behind your own door. I had some friends that we talked to, or policing is changing now, and they're realizing that you do have to address mental health, and you can't not help your people. And on a major incident, there needs to be a debrief, and you need to check on your people. I've always been the person that if there was a major incident, but I wasn't involved, I would email them. Hey, are you okay? Hey, do you need to talk? Hey, I'm here for you. Right? But I also need to do better for myself. So EAP was great. And then the therapist that I had, she decided to go on her own, so I followed her. I check in with her monthly. I've done a lot of work. I can tell when I'm due to go see her because I get a little punchy. Not physically, I just get a little pissy. But I know I'm getting a little edgy because it's like going to the garbage dump. You go and you drop your shit off.
Yep, and leave it there.
And then you feel better when you're done. Yeah. And she also calls me on my shit. So, use my words against me. That's great.
Yeah, and that's the role, right? And people are so afraid of that counseling or therapist role or whatever, but it is truly about getting and having the opportunity to pull the stuff out that's in our mind. And when you put it out on the light of day, like something happens when you can get this darkness out and you set it down and you look at it and nothing changes. Like the world didn't come to the end.
And you're still safe. I'm very open with anyone that I go to therapy. I've referred several of my coworkers to my therapist as long as she still has time for me. But I'm very open. I'm like, I'm not, when I have an appointment during the day, I'm like, I'm going to my therapist. And then sometimes I come back after work and I'm just like, I can't do this today. I'm done. I can't, my brain can't process anything else and it's maxed out. So I'm just going to go. And the service is good that way because we have like sick time or whatever. I'm just like, I got to go home. I can't function right now.
We, after the homicide, we worked with a wonderful trauma counselor, and we loved her so much that she stays. She's with us. We hired her, and she's here and doing amazing work. But we've got her part-time. But there has to be a place to put the shit. Mm-hmm. And it can't stay in here.
It's like Pandora's box, really. Yeah. So I think that's most people's fear of going to talk about that kind of stuff. Like, oh my God, what happens? Because it'll get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be like, hey, I'm so much, yay, sunshine and rainbows, unicorns, whatever, yay. That's not how it works. It'll get worse before it gets better. But you have to do the work.
And sometimes, we talk about it's not always the best fit. Make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you rave about your person.
Oh, I've had a different one. It didn't work. I'm like, no, I'm out.
Time to go. Or why didn't it work for me? Always know that relationship, if you're going to work with someone on trauma or burnout, you are in control of the person that you're working with. And if it's not a good fit, it is okay to fire us.
If you can't sit down and talk to somebody and not feel like you have to have your guard up, I can't say that, I can't. If you can't say that, like, what the fuck is going on with me? There, I dropped my first F-bomb. Then you're not in the right spot.
Continue on with Pandora's box.
Well, I think the fear, I think, for most people that when they want to, I need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. One, to find the right person. So like we talked about, if you're going to somebody and you're not jiving with them after the first or second session, then you need to find somebody else. Yeah. Because you shouldn't be like you are in the driver's seat. So you don't have to, like, if you're not connecting or if you feel like you're getting in shit because like they're judging you or you're not comfortable, then you need to pivot.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite words, pivot. Yeah. I didn't expect this is coming, so pivot. But you need to be able to go and sit there and have a conversation and and just I sometimes I make notes, and sometimes like, oh, I don't have anything to talk about today. And then 55 minutes later, she's looking at her watch going,
Yeah, you had
okay,
a lot.
we're almost done. Like, what else do you need to cover?
Yeah.
But it's not just work. It's family. It's personal. It's whatever. It's whatever I'm feeling. It doesn't always have to be work related, because I'm past the point where, I've dealt with the work stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, if you think of it, nobody has a perfect life. I mean, everyone has like stuff they see on social media and like, they have a perfect little family. Bullshit. They have a perfect family. So, because everybody has shit.
Everyone does.
Everybody has possibly, unfortunately, maybe childhood trauma or stuff when they're growing up or stuff before they're in the profession that they're in now. That makes you the person that you are. I grew up in an alcoholic family. So when I was on the road as an officer, when I dealt with kids that were dealing with people that had addictions, I could sympathize with them.
Yeah.
So I had a good life. I'm, well adjusted, take care of myself, but that's probably why I got into policing, because I need to take care of stuff. I need to take care of people, and I need to control things to keep people safe, right? So show me a first responder that doesn't have trauma before they started their job.
Well, and I think we can take that almost into every helping field, right? I mean, I want to help people. I want to fix people, maybe fix myself, or keep people safe, because I wasn't safe. Like, my mother was an amazing woman, but dealt horrifically with her own mental health, and hence here I am, right? And I think
you do what you know.
You do what you know, or you try
to fix it,
or you try to make it better what you know.
Yeah.
I hope that someone will treat someone I care about better because I've done this work, right? Yeah. Or you were just saying that sometimes policing is broken, or the system is broken. But if we keep putting people away, if we keep
eventually it's got to happen.
It's got to fix.
It's got to fix.
Right.
And sometimes that's the only thing that keeps you going. Sometimes the only thing that keeps me going is that karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
And what goes around comes around. And someday somebody's going to get what they need to do, what they deserve. So, not by me, just so we're clear. But eventually, karma will work things out.
How does trauma for offenders work in terms of this? You have people that use because of trauma, self-medicating.
Yeah. I'm not going to say a lot, but there are some of my male sex offenders that were victims.
Does that shape a different approach for you?
No. Okay. So I am black and white, but I'm fair. Okay. When I'm dealing with offenders. Because like I said, so if you're honest with me, you're straightforward, and if you have a question and you call me, I'll do whatever I can to help you. So there are people that have committed offenses for which they are remorseful. Yeah. Do I say they'll never reoffend? I would never say that. Mm-hmm. Are some higher risk than others? Absolutely. But I've referred some offenders to the men's program at SAC for the Paths of Courage, and have gotten some feedback that it was very beneficial for them. However, everybody makes choices.
Okay.
So, yes, something horrible happened to you as a child, but nobody forced you to make that happen or commit that offense as an adult.
So accountability.
So everybody has choices. Everybody has choices. You made your choice, and therefore the repercussions are this.
Okay.
And my job is to make sure that they are followed. Again, to keep my community safe.
Well, you know what? This isn't the place or time. It needs a glass of wine to have this philosophical discussion about where does severe mental illness play into, and not criminally responsible, and all of this bigger
absolutely.
pieces.
There's a lot of different branches that we can probably dissect and spend time with.
Yeah.
Do I deal with offenders that have mental health issues? Absolutely. Do I treat them a little bit differently? Probably. Maybe I'm not such a bitch when they come in, because I know if I take my hard ass approach, it might be a trigger for them, or they might react, or they're having a great day, so maybe I won't put my sassy pants on that day.
Yeah.
And I do have a little bit of compassion and empathy that way, a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, I do have offenders that I'm aware of that they have mental health issues. So I do treat them differently, because I'm trying to make sure that they're compliant. I want to make sure that they know that, okay, they spoke with someone today that has significant mental health issues and has thought about suicide in the past, and have you talked to this person? I can make a referral for you. Do you need a ride to the hospital today? Do you have a plan? Have you talked to somebody at crisis? Are you doing outpatient therapy? Like, who are your supports?
Would you see anyone released who would be under a community treatment order?
I do have a couple, yes.
Okay, so.
I have people that are supported by different agencies that are in residential facilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to be on consent and capacity board, so it was just, did a lot of hearings in prison and a lot of that, and I was just wondering if it was just dawned on me that people would be released and might still have a CT order in place, right?
I do have a couple of people that their support people come with them on the when they do their registries and stuff.
Okay, so there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we haven't. I don't know if I want to try it because I'm looking at the time. I want to pull us back a 30-year career dealing with hard stuff, and that you have been very honest that in the last 5 years, kind of taking care of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a time you thought you'd leave the force?
No, this is all I've ever wanted to do since I was 5 years old. I have no policing in my family. I told my parents I was going to be a police officer. Like, oh, that's nice.
So you must have, I won't try, but so released out of college and then?
It was a different kind of a path. My mom wanted me to be a hairdresser. I was not. I watched like Charlie's Angels, Cagney and Lacey, Starsky and Hutch, Hill Street Blues. I just like that. Yeah, I watched every cop show that I could get my hands on when I was younger. I initially was going to Holland College Police Academy in the East Coast. It was not successful. I had to pivot and move to Ontario to go to Loyalist. So I went to Loyalist, did a placement with Belleville Police Service, and that was when the Ray Days hiring freeze was on in the 90s. So I had to work for a while and keep applying, and eventually was successful.
Wow, that's tenacious.
Mm-hmm.
And it was where you wanted to be and what you were doing.
There wasn't a second choice.
There wasn't a second choice.
No.
Not the OPP. Nope, it was going to be.
Well, actually, I get to the point where wherever I sign the dotted line first is where I'm going.
Where we go.
Policing was my first choice, and there was no second choice. And would I change anything? If I think like, what would you change? I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. But at the same time, nothing. It is what it is, right? So somebody had to do it.
Well, and you know what? You can't live a life of regrets either.
No.
It's only what do I change going forward, right?
Yeah.
And for anyone...
I don't do this anymore. That's what I changed going forward. So I was like, gonna work when I retire? Yeah. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna work at Michael's, or I'm gonna arrange flowers. I don't have to talk to people anymore. I'm good.
So policing will be out of your system.
Probably. I say that, but at the same time, when shit hits hitting the fan, I'm at 110%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I look at retirement and I think, no. There are days, right? You go, yeah. And I figure as long as I'm productive, as long as I can write a good grant, as long as I'm still, if I'm not senile and drooling in a corner, which could be my future if I'm not careful, but...
it could be anybody's future.
Right? So, but the longevity comes from the self-awareness to know not to push when you're a little bit broken. Because I think doing the self-check-in, and people don't like the term broken, but it's the analogy that if a little bit of a chip is out and you can take time to repair it, instead of trying, just push through, you'll be okay. The problem with pushing through is that you become more stretched, more brittle.
You're putting more in Pandora's box, and eventually the roof is going to explode, like that episode from Scooby-Doo where all the ghosts come out and they can't get the top on the box.
And you walk away from a career you love.
Mm-hmm. I have no regrets.
Good.
I've had some great experiences. I made some great friends. Am I happy it's done? Yeah. So my current role, I've probably been in there probably 5 or 6 years too long. It was just the needs of the service. Nobody applied when it was posted, and I stayed. And then I'm just like, well.
Boy,
Yeah.
succession planning is big because they've got 100 and some days, right?
148.
148 days, and if nobody's wanted it,
There's
yeah.
already someone's already been
Good.
appointed and to
Good.
start some training, and then when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a legacy to continue. Different, but at least you'll impart something.
Yeah, and I think part of the other thing too that was beneficial is I've always been involved in my community. You have to give back, right?
Yeah.
So this is where I live. This is where my family is. I need to give back. So I think I left Adopt a Child for a year, the Keep Kids Warm program, and I'm back. So my 30-year
You
career.
are not, are you really?
Oh yeah, I've been back for this is my second year.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't paid attention. So
Listen to the radio. The PSAs have started.
Yeah.
But I have some great volunteers who are friends and basically their family, and it's important to have those relationships and give back to community to see you feel better.
And
Right?
you're an axe champion, right?
I am.
Tell me about that. That is so off the wall, but I love it.
I have aggression issues.
No.
Oh yes. So it's important to do things outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? So Adopt Child is a no-brainer for me. I'm in my 30-year career. I've been involved for 28 years, and we're in our 37th year. And I'm selfish because it makes me feel good,
Okay.
but it keeps kids warm, so it's good, right? I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, I saw this.
Okay, because I didn't know
So-
what we're talking about coats, and I thought we talked about axe throwing. And
Yeah, we're going back there.
I'm completely
Yeah.
lost here.
Pay
Take me
attention.
with you.
Pay attention. About 5 or 6 years ago, I saw this thing online that says, "Don't be afraid to suck at something new." So I'm like, I need to
Suck at something
pivot,
new. Yeah.
right? So I'd seen this advertisement for axe throwing at a place in Trenton. I put it out on social media, and I'm like, "Who's with me?" And my one girlfriend's like, "I'm doing it." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." I was going to go whether she came or
Yeah.
not, and it's awesome.
Well,
it's-
and you're really good at it.
Thank you.
So how can you say you suck at it if you're now a champion?
Well, no, I sucked at it 6 years ago.
Couldn't suck too bad, man.
Oh yeah,
Holy-
I know. And then obviously that business closed down, so it came to the one in Belleville, and there's a ladies' league, and what an amazing group of women.
I guess, right?
So and we're all friends now.
Yeah.
We had a new girl join a couple sessions ago, and she's like, "You guys are amazing! Like you just because there's none of this women like that would eat each other or slit your throat when you're not looking at it. There's no competitive, but we're supportive and you build each other up, and it's just an awesome environment to be in.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and you forget about whatever's going on for a couple hours. You throw sharp shit at wood, and it's just awesome.
I've done it once, and I did it badly, but I can see
then
the
you keep
appeal.
going.
Well, you know. Ugh.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's great.
Well, you got to suck at something new, but you got to love what you're sucking at. And I didn't like axe throwing. I like, ugh. But I can appreciate people. Stop. That's why I love comedy. I love funny people. And if I ever do anything again, I'll do stand up. There you go. And I'll suck at it really bad. Eventually I get there. Sorry. No, I'm not. Anyways. This has been awesome. I don't know what to say after all that. But
I mean, it's great. Just and I will keep doing the axe throwing way after I retire.
that's brilliant. And, maybe bringing more people on. Quite frankly, I've thought about pickleball, but axe is...
Oh yeah, I've tried that too. It's awesome.
You're good at
one
at
of my
pickleball.
goals. Yeah.
See, pickleball I could get into, but axe, yeah.
Try it.
What, pickleball?
Try it again. No, try axe throwing again.
No.
So I brought people in, and there's some people that have come from work, and it's it is a work-free zone. We do not discuss work
Yeah.
in this building, and if you discuss it, I'm not talking to you.
I you know what, and some of that is camaraderie. I have a group of safe friends, I call them, right? Like it's just not,
Isn't that your book club?
just not. I've got 6 books.
Okay.
So, yeah, maybe that's what I am. But you have a group of people that you can be completely at ease at, And like you say, you cheer each other on, and you want the success,
And you build each other up.
Yeah. And that is
It fills the tank.
right. Whether it's
Right?
axe throwing, whether it's book club, whether it's
Whatever.
pickleball,
Whatever.
And
Yeah.
now you watch the segue that'll happen here, because I am the master of getting us back on track. That sometimes happens too in all of the work that's attached to working with some of the most vulnerable and the furthest removed from support, whether it's in the justice system, whether it's in social services. It is about, we deal with shit every day, in different ways, but at the end of the day, we're still dealing with people that are complex, high needs, dangerous, or vulnerable. And if we can't find things to challenge us, to sit here and have a podcast with someone that you like, that's making your brain work, or that you're working with friends, or that you're having a glass of wine in the hot tub with your partner, or you're going for a walk, if you're not doing some of that self-care, if you're not breathing in the oxygen, right, first, you can't maintain a 30-year career. You can't.
And I wouldn't be able to do it without
Yeah.
my friends and family. Like my husband and my daughter are phenomenal supports for me. And when I'm having a shitty day, they know it. I'm just like, yeah, not a great day.
Can't do stupid today.
No. So like my husband's like, what do you need? I'm like, give me 20 minutes. Yeah. We'll walk the dog. We'll go outside. We'll sit in the hot tub. Do whatever. I just need to dumb it down for a second. I just need to not think about something. Yeah. Or it's okay. Or my daughter will go do something or spend some, like, it's, like I said, like, it's not just action, but it's family, it's friends, it's remembering that you are human and things are going to be okay. And you can't worry about what's going to happen all the time. What if, you can't, you need to live in the now because nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah. You're a wise woman.
Oh,
very much a wise woman. You know, and for those that are going to be listening or that you're watching today and hearing some things that resonate, just kind of going back over some of the points that Anne made, don't be afraid to reach out to someone. Always be sure that if you're going to open up Pandora's box, it's someone you trust, and that if you don't trust them, you don't have to work with them. Your EAP has wonderful people, but just because it's under the EAP, you can select who you need to do.
yeah, and there's other providers besides EAP that's covered by a lot of benefits.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
and sometimes people don't have EAP, and sometimes people don't have benefits.
then you go to crisis,
But
or
there's others.
there's other avenues. Yeah.
We see a lot of those folks that don't have other resources. Another one I always remind people is 988. Always remember that's out there too, and it's not just for if you're feeling suicidal, but if you've had a day where it's here and you feel vulnerable, remember to reach out to those supports. You've heard a lot. Any last word? I give it to you, my guest, because you're going to take it anyways. I know you. I'm just going to give it to you. Not going to fight.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I didn't think I was going to open up as much as I did because I keep my cards close.
Yeah.
They
all say that, eh? Everybody goes away and goes, I didn't think I was going to talk too much.
Well, it's personal, but at the same time, if I can help somebody, I absolutely will. So if this helps somebody, if this, like, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. Yeah. I mean, are the days that I just want to stay in my pajamas and suck my thumb in the fetal position? Absolutely. And that's okay, as long as it doesn't become a habit. Sometimes you just need to realize you have to set up limits and you have to know yourself and just like, I need a recharge day. I need a mental health day. I can't adult today. I just want to build a fort, a blanket fort, and I want to read a book and I want to, cuddle on the couch with my daughter or my husband or my dog or whatever. And that's okay. Realizing that you're not perfect and you're not invincible. Everybody has flaws, everybody has weaknesses, and you have to be willing to help yourself.